Hello, and welcome to Close the Door and Come Here, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast with heavy leanings toward our two favorite characters, Jaime and Brienne. Hi, I am Chicky, and I am Chicky on Blue Sky, and today I'm joined by Devin.
Hey, this is Devin, GD Harpo on Blue Sky.
And Kama.
Hi, I'm Kama, and you can find me at Kama's Place on Blue Sky.
And today we are going to be discussing Dany's third chapter in A Dance with Dragons. And wow, is this an opener, guys, to this chapter? I feel like this is like basically a live porno that's being acted out. Like I honestly think that's what George is going for.
Exactly what it was.
It is a live sex show. That is what is happening.
Yeah. At first I was like, oh, Cirque du Soleil, and then it just turned into full-blown actual sex. And I was like, no, a little bit different. So Dany is having a feast because our old friend, whose name I'm going to absolutely butcher, partially because I'm really not sure how it is supposed to be pronounced. Xhoan Daxos, what did they say on the show? Was it Xaro or Xaro? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I feel like you said it correctly.
I think you're close enough.
Close enough. A lot of X's, guys. So Xaro is back. Our buddy from Tarth, who has been in Westeros and been with Dany, and we just are so excited to see him. And it's funny because Dany's like kind of having mixed feelings. It seems like she kind of tries to be playful with him at one point here. They did have good rapport until he basically was done with her and didn't need her anymore and kind of sent her away in the way that she looks at it. But what is very good news for her with Xaro here is that he has brought a whole bunch of supplies that they have really been missing in Meereen. And it's so funny. I was thinking so much about Quentin's plight of trying to find a ship when she was talking about how great it was that Xaro shows up with the fresh fruit and all this stuff, all the things that the traders used to bring, but no trade ships have been arriving at Meereen. I was like, yeah, we've seen this from both sides, this issue that you're having, Dany. So anyway, they're all enjoying the show. Dany is noting that Xaro is definitely more interested in the guys than anyone else. And Dany's very interested in the guys, but she is also spending some time thinking about how much she misses Daario here, which was something I didn't remember her thinking about quite as much as she
feels
really
like
is.
Every few lines she thinks of him. I also did not remember it being that much.
Yeah, she's very much in the early throes of infatuation at this point.
Which is totally 100% normal for a teenage girl, which is what she is.
Agreed. Yeah.
I would love if we ever do see her in Westeros to see how the culture shock, because this very over exoticized Orientalism, I just don't see that playing really well in King's Landing, or maybe it would. I don't know, but
yeah, I agree with that. I agree. And of course, this is really George's problem, but maybe he's been working on it, I guess. Well, we'll never know. So Xaro is starting to kind of work on Dany to kind of begin to get to what the kind of crux of his mission or intent here is. And that is that he starts to talk to her about some of the problems that she is having in Meereen. And we get kind of Dany thinking through some of the issues that she's having with our buddies, the Sons of the Harpy, and kind of get into the weeds of that, which probably are not super relevant right now, but good to clock what's going on. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I don't know if Dany really thinks she is handling the Sons of the Harpy situation well, or she doesn't seem frightened. I don't know. What is your sense of what she thinks of the threat there?
I get the feeling she thinks it's There's so much going on, and I think she's maybe putting it to the back of her mind, but I don't think she's as concerned as maybe she should be.
Yes, almost like she feels that they are somewhat of a threat, but it also kind of feels like an afterthought in a way.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, she does have a lot that she is thinking about. I mean, including Dario, obviously, but I mean, she is very seriously thinking about her ruling problem. But she's thinking through a lot of things. She's thinking through the fact that she doesn't really, her mind seems to go to kind of the economic situation. I think for good reason, because of course, a bad economic situation is going to make any political situation worse. And she's thinking through the fact that the entire, I guess, economy of Meereen was built on the slave trade, and that they really don't have anything else to trade. It seems like the only other thing they really had was olives, and all the old slave masters burned all the olive trees before.
And really bad wine. Really bad wine. Like, it sounds like it's the equivalent of Ernest and Julio Gallo back in the 70s, that he's just like, yeah, we're not taking the garbage.
Yeah, the original box of wine type stuff. Yeah. Yeah, which she's very happy to have this good wine that Xaro brought with him too. So I guess that's definitely part of the story here. So after a little bit, she hears from Xaro that he is going to offer her the ships that he brought. Was it 13? I think it's 13 ships that he brought. And he is going to give them to her if she will take off for Westeros. Actually, this might be, did he say this after he got her alone on the veranda or whatever it was? I think it might be.
It was just them, and of course Barristan was there.
Yeah. She brings Barristan with her.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that Xaro got in a little dig at Barristan. She goes, "This is Barristan the Bold." And Xaro goes, "Did you say Barristan the Old?" Which was funny. I laughed out loud almost. So Barristan is there listening in as her Kingsguard. But yes, he basically, Xaro offers to bribe her with these 13 ships if she will head to Westeros. And this is a really good, a good moment to see just how big a threat Dany has become to, not just any one city, the entire region. She's clearly, she's obviously dealing with the fallout of the economic problems in Meereen, but it's very obvious that she has caused big economic problems for like this whole area, like most of Essos at this point.
Like cascading series of dominoes that have just, disrupted their entire way of life and economy and threat to everything.
Exactly. So anyway, Xaro, like as part of this like attempt to get her to leave, tells her that a few of the Undying warlocks are after her. Pyat Pree is one of them, and that they're gonna try to kill her. This is what he's been talking about the whole time he's been talking to her, is that he's very concerned for her safety in a very manipulative fashion. He's bringing that up, and she doesn't seem terribly afraid of Pyat Pree, which I guess she doesn't need to be, because I think he's dead, right? I think we think he's dead.
If he's not dead, he's far away, right? Isn't that the deal?
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he specifically was dead. But I also forgot they were a threat.
Doesn't Euron kill him? Wasn't there this thing about Euron catching a bunch of warlocks?
I believe there's
Am I making this up? Maybe I am. I don't remember.
There's a mention of him in Winds, actually, in one of the chapters.
Is like
there? Somebody refers to him.
Maybe he's still alive then.
Yeah, anyway. I think he is. They're on their way to find her, it sounds like.
Okay. So, anyway, she kind of leaves things with Xaro as if she's thinking about this. She says she's going to inspect these ships. And she has him leave, and then she kind of like turns to Barristan and asks his opinion. And Barristan is like, right away, like, yeah, you should go to Westeros. What are we doing here? So then she wakes up the next morning and is basically holding court and has a whole bunch of business to deal with, kind of the foremost of the business. There's obviously stuff going on still in Meereen that she's dealing with, but she has to hear about what's going on in Astapor, of course, because she's been reluctant to go back and help the king that is left there, I should say, defend the place. There are accusations that he's been enslaving people, obviously, so she doesn't really want to defend him. And it sounds like he is set to be defeated, which is, not great for everybody. And it also then, when Xaro shows back up and says, okay, are you going to take my ships? It makes everyone in Meereen afraid. And I should say, Xaro shows up with this massive tapestry of a map that he unrolls.
And that's super cool, actually. I mean,
it is cool, I guess. It's funny. He unrolls it and he's like, does she ask where Westeros is? Somebody asks where Westeros is, and he's like, it's over there somewhere, as if it's off the map, where he's just like, we want you off this map. You just leave. So she's kind of dealing with she's looking at this map. She's hearing about what's happening in Astapor because she left Astapor in a very unstable position. And it's about to be enslaved again, basically, is what she's hearing. And it's just kind of, I think, pressuring her to say, I'm not going to leave Meereen. I'm not going to abandon Meereen to have, the slavers take back over. Is that your read on it as well? That seems like what she's really wrestling with. And go ahead, Kama. No, go ahead.
That seems like an accurate read. There's a lot of stuff in here that I always question what she's doing. She's for her age and her situation, she's doing well. I mean, there's a lot of things she's doing really well, and a lot more she's not doing well at all. But I think her read is reasonably accurate.
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah. So, go ahead, Devin.
I was just going to say there's so much going on because, like was said earlier, by trying to end slavery here, it totally topples everything that they've known their entire way of life, their everything. And it seems like there's just too much and I feel like this is where like these portions of her chapters get lost. It's like there's so much going on. What is she supposed to do? How do we get out of this? It's why it's so interesting that she has this chance to, hey, if you go right now, like you can have these ships, whatever, just go right now, and just leave this behind and let us deal with whatever fallout. And it's understandable why she can't just do that, but there's just so much going on that I feel like this is where so her plot starts to feel like too much or get kind of lost.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It just gets so convoluted. And, I understand why George wanted to kind of get into the weeds with her ruling and show, I think his intention is to show her learning things right now, I believe.
Like a parallel to what John's going through right now.
Exactly that. And I kind of understand why he wanted to pause here and show what's happening. But the problem is, and this is when he talks about the Meereenese knot, I don't know that this is specifically what he means, but to me, the Meereenese knot is that he just gets too bogged down in the realities of the world. And he just doesn't seem to be able to hand wave things like, why couldn't she just hear that Astapor falls from a messenger or something? And it's like, why do we have to have, such in-depth decisions? I think you could still show her growing and making some good decisions and not maybe show all of this. And why do we need to know every character involved in every aspect of it? I feel this way about John's chapters a lot of the time as well. And I remember thinking this with Sansa and the Vale. I'm just like, do we need to know the names of 30 different characters in this current Vale storyline? Some of it just seems excessive, but
yeah, I think they could have done, we could have checked in periodically right? And just
Yeah.
going, okay, here's the thing they're doing, and go from there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that because it's like I'm sitting there and it's like we're all keeping fairly decent track of everyone around her. It's like I know who Strong Bellis is, I know who the Shayfate is, I know who the Skahaz guy is, and Resnak, Mo Resnak. I mean, it's like you kind of keep track of like the top level 10 or 12, but it's like then you start getting deeper and you're just like, how am I supposed to remember when I'm about to dive into a Tyrion chapter after this? And I got to remember that 8 people he's dragging around now.
Yeah, like even when you say her top like 10 or 12, like anytime a Resnack and like they start getting mentioned, I'm kind of like, I know why you're here, but why are you here?
Yeah,
Why do I need to know you're here?
Yeah. Honestly, he needed someone George needed someone to kind of sit him down and go, okay, you need to boil these 8 guys down to like 4 guys and just,
It's
whittle away
almost
a
like
little.
he's approaching this almost like writing a soap.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
we're going to drag out, really what happens is there's a meeting and the executive gets toppled. But no, we're going to drag that meeting out for a solid month.
Yeah, exactly that. Yes.
And we're going to have 15 other plots where we're doing that. And the problem is we're not in a soap. And it's just very, very frustrating.
It is. It really is, especially at this point. So, anyway, Xaro gets a little more threatening as it's clear that she's not going to be leaving. And he, but before that, he does this pretend crying thing, which he says that everybody in Karth knows how to do, this fake crying to make a point. It's kind of funny, though. He actually starts crying, saying that he's worried about her. And then he's like threatening her and she's, saying she's going to die. And she basically throws him out for threatening her, throws him out of the palace. And then we find out the next day that he sent her a bloody glove, which is apparently a declaration of war. So now she's at war with Karth on top of everything else she has going on, although he does leave the ships, apparently.
And it's like, here's another thing we got to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's more in here that happens. I mean, there's her admiral who's looking at the fleet and everything. It's just like, I don't know. Some of this may come back, but we'll just deal with it when it does. It's like you couldn't possibly cover everything that is happening in these chapters. It just would take an hour. So, did we have any mail on this one?
Yes, we did have a piece of mail. It kind of asks 3 different questions, so I'll kind of go through it like that.
Okay.
So from Iruna, I believe I'm saying that correctly, on Tumblr. Gotta love how shamelessly Xaro is throwing shade around. Sweetness cloys, tart fruit and tart women give life its savor. Immediately followed by Daenerys, sweet queen, also Barristan the Old. But he has a point when he's talking about the Blood Riders. Is it explained why Dany doesn't keep them with her? And I've just missed it. So yeah, referring to all her Blood Riders being away from them. When previously, when they were in Karth, she always had them around.
Yeah, because Xaro points out that she doesn't have them with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Where are they? Was anybody on the last chapter?
I think they're all at different places trying to stabilize things that are going on, maybe.
That sounds right.
Like it's mentioned in this chapter, but like it's kind of passed over. So
okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like Jon sending his friends away, I guess.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that's deliberate, right? I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And just speaking of Xaro, he's hilarious in this chapter. I just love him throughout. As I like the way
he is. He's a good character. He's a fun one to have pop back up, actually.
Yes, he was definitely, of course, because he's the one we met outside of Pyat Pree, the perfect one to bring back from the 13.
Yeah,
and have him do this. And speaking of Pyat Pree, so I looked at it when Euron killing one of the like the warlocks. So he did capture 4 of them. And Euron killed one of them for threatening him and fed him to the remaining warlocks. Their surviving warlocks are reportedly coaching Euron in black magic.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Specify that was Pyat Pree that happened to. So,
okay, cool.
So still from Iruna, do we think George is foreshadowing something when he tells us that the whole of the pure-born princess is worm-eaten?
Oh, the ship that was
The
worm
ship.
eaten. Oh, God, I hope not. Is
Like,
it is it about Griff? Is it about Dany? What is it about? I don't even know.
it doesn't even ring a bell for what it could be like, and through all the theories over the years, I have no clue.
I don't either. I don't know. There's so many things that get dropped in that, like kind of feel like significant after the fact, but sometimes even I wonder how much George intended all of them, or if they're just like happy coincidences. But
I think a lot of them are happy coincidences. It just
yeah,
given to the way he writes, I think it just happens.
yeah.
And so lastly, I know that Dany cannot take this ship because of her arc, but what do you think happens if she does? Because I doubt Barristan is right with his prediction of people weeping with joy at her
Oh
arrival.
God, no! No one's going to
Does
be
he
weeping
even
with
believe
joy.
it himself? Exactly like that. He's so off base.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's what he would like to have happen, and I'm sure he actually believes that. But God, no,
No.
no.
Complete opposite.
I think first of all, everybody's got way too much going on already, right? With the War of the Five Kings, and then I don't see Dany being like. I mean, she could conquer. She could do what she's doing now, but I don't see people like weeping in the street. I mean, maybe they'd be weeping, but for another reason.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I think, especially, as long as the War of the Five Kings is, droned on, I don't think anybody's going to be happy to see another player
And not
enter the
a
arena.
Targaryen with dragons specifically. Like I think that throws that so far off, because he's like, because you're Rhaegar's sister, but it's like, well, I'm actually the Mad King's daughter. So like I just don't see the people of Westeros, anybody getting behind that. Not in the way that Barristan is thinking it would happen.
If she
No.
could, she would have to first of all, I mean, if she showed up and I mean, granted, she's adapted herself to each of these various kingdoms that she's been conquering and whatnot. But I mean, showing up with the dress with your breast hanging out, no, I don't see any of that working real well.
I know. It's so funny how in that one scene where she's talking to just Barristan alone, he's like very directly trying
Not
to
looking
avoid
at her.
looking at her dress.
Like he's straining himself. He's straining himself
Yes.
to do
And
it.
it's probably a nod to how Westeros would react to some of the,
Yeah.
SOC culture that I was going to say picked up, but this is where she's from in reality. I mean, like she thinks of herself as from Westeros, but she really isn't.
But that's the thing. She's not from there. Like she was born there, but she's not from there. She's just so different.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, she poor thing. She really, it's like she keeps thinking of Westeros as home. It's like she really has no home, and it's really.
And I think in particular, home is written in italics a couple times throughout this chapter, which that kind of stood out to me this time.
Oh, Dany.
It's like, that's not really home.
Yeah, which is all she really truly wants is home,
Mm-hmm.
and it is sad. It's this poor kid. Yeah, I don't think anybody's clamoring for any real Targaryens to come back. Even, I mean, you kind of see a little bit of Dick Crab in the Crownlands, and the Crownlands is like kind of the main Targaryen stronghold of support, even in the whole of Westeros, and it's kind of a meh amount of Targaryen interest. And I don't think anybody is that eager to have anybody related to Rhaegar back. I don't think anybody is. I mean, other than maybe Jaime, and Aemon is dead. And Jaime and Aemon are the only two that really like ever have very, very warm things to say about Rhaegar. Really, I mean, I know that Jorah has said a few things, and I think Barristan says some things, but it's more like he's better than your dad, not like.
Right. Well, I mean, how are people going to see her? Her claim comes from being the daughter, doesn't come from being the sister.
The sister.
Exactly.
Right. And I mean, keep in mind, her father, barbecued, a
lot of people.
A lot of people. And, again, these people are all engulfed to varying degrees. Now, some of them might be like the people in Dorne might be welcoming, right? But, I think as you get further north, that attitude is more like all these people are battling for supremacy. They don't want yet another person they're competing with.
Yeah.
Let alone some teenage girl who's extremely othered at this point, with weapons of mass destruction. I don't see anyone in the street going, "Oh my God, she's back. We're going to be okay." This is not going to be whatever Barristan is imagining. I don't think it's based in any reality.
No. Any more mail?
That's all the mail.
Okay, great. Well, if you would like to send us a message, we would love to get it. You can email us at closethedoorand@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Blue Sky at, I think, Close the Door. Maybe it's Close the Door and.
Close the door and.
Close the Door and. You can always send us an anonymous message on our Tumblr, which is closethedoorandcomehere.tumblr.com. And you can check in on our question threads on the Jaime Brienne subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/Jaime Brienne. And as always, we want to thank our patrons on Patreon who keep the lights on, and you can find us there at Close the Door. And with that, I am closing the door. Get out.